Yeah. Uh, there we go. What's going on? How are ya?
Good, how are you?
Good. Here's Ryder,
What's up, Ryder?
Hi.
Who's Ryder?
content creator.
Oh,
He's skipping college.
what sort of
He's
great.
he's straight out. We signed him straight out of high school.
That's awesome. How did you become his content creator? I'd like to know.
I put an ad out, and then I kind of knew his mom through some mutual connections and stuff like that.
And you came in and talked to the school.
And then I'd gone into Milton and talked when he was in just about like what property management and what I'm doing and all that stuff, and he was interested in all that stuff. So yeah, he replied to the description that I put out there, and we interviewed him. Maybe like a 20-minute interview.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, let's go.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
So do you have experience with creating content prior to this?
Yeah, that's basically all I did throughout high school. I made YouTube videos and streamed online and online creation and stuff like that.
Awesome. Maybe if I get bigger than Justin, I can steal you from him.
Alright.
There's more.
I know that you're not competitive in that way. I just had to say that.
Yeah.
How are you? How was the wedding?
Good. It was an awesome day, so we got lucky
Yeah.
there. It actually turned out better than I think it would have been if it wasn't COVID, because we were going to have it at Edgewater, but I think what we did at Lake Geneva was way better than Edgewater would have ever been. So,
Yeah. Can I ask you what you're looking at right now?
well, the camera is down here,
Okay.
and the screen is up here.
I
So I'm
see.
looking at you.
Oh.
It's how my laptop's set up. And even if
Isn't
I
that
bring it up,
funky?
yeah, I don't know why this laptop's like that.
Okay, cool.
You good with it?
Well, what's that?
Are you good with it?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right.
I'm just like, is he looking at his camera?
No,
or-
so I'm looking at you on the screen right now. There I'm looking at the camera.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So before we jump into it, I just want to make sure that you didn't talk about your book on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, no. I just
You don't want me
haven't.
to talk about that?
Yeah, no, we can. I just haven't added it. I didn't want to add it because we were selling copies, but yet I didn't get it out to everybody on time because of COVID. So I just have been slow to add that places.
Okay. What is it titled again?
The Sure Thing.
Sure thing. I'll let you talk about that. I'll let him explain. And then, I'm gonna add, like, on a personal note, he is a devoted newlywed husband, bonus dad or stepdad or dad.
Whatever.
What would you?
Whatever.
Okay. Brother and son, and a friend of mine who I've had loads of respect for.
Cool.
And then introing it, I think what I'm just going to say is, Justin, today we're going to talk about something that you've overcome in order to be all that you are today. You're 30, right? Or are you 31?
30.
Wow.
What?
She gave you the extra year.
I'm almost 31.
Oh,
In
yeah.
like 20 days.
Okay, you're still 30. At the age of 30, which is overcoming naysayers, doubters, and your own personal fears and doubts. But then how do you want, where do you want to start in your story? Like going into college football?
Wherever. You can lead the way. Do you want me to share that part, or usually we
Yeah,
end up
no.
just going when I'm on these things? I usually go up. We usually end up going way off topic and just whatever. But
Yeah, no, it's perfect. It's totally fine. What I hope from you is that you can go through a few examples of how people doubted you and what you did, or how you overcame it, or how it maybe took you off course, but taking you off course led you to something far better.
okay, that works. Yeah, just ask blatantly too, whatever you want me to talk about. Because
I
yeah,
for sure will.
yeah.
I just think it starts better when you start telling your story of what you've overcome.
Okay.
Would you agree naysayers and doubters is a pretty good thing for you?
Yeah, because when I first started out of college, everyone questioned what I was doing. So people always kind of question. So yeah.
I think of football. I think of the Pizza Hut or Domino's or whatever it was example. I think of direct sales. I think of real estate. I think there's like 4 different topics there that you could explore.
Yeah.
Was it Pizza Hut or Domino's?
Domino's.
Domino's. Okay. Let me write that down just in case you forget. College football.
What are you filming on right there? Oh, just
I was gonna
just
crop it
rolling.
up,
Oh, that's
so.
fine. That's fine. I was just wondering.
I cut out a lot of what you said because I was like, these are all numbers. So I'm still including a lot of your bio, but not the whole thing.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yep.
Okay.
Can
Are
jump
you
in, it doesn't
ready?
matter. Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to go. I'll let you lead the way.
You want to close that door? Will it have less noise? Will someone pop in?
I don't think so.
Okay. Oh, I always get nervous right before I hit record. Every single time. It's so funny. Well, welcome to this episode of the Fearlessly Inspired podcast. And today I have a friend of mine with us today who has had a lot of success at his young age of 30. And so before I introduce him fully, I want to welcome Justin Spalding to the Fearlessly Inspired podcast. Welcome, Justin.
How's it going, Charlie? Thanks for having me. Been trying to get this hooked up for a while, I know, and it's hard to pin me down sometimes.
It is hard to pin you down.
Yeah.
At texting you, I think I have to text you a few times before you remember to respond.
Because I'm in the middle of something, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll reply to that. And if I open it, then it's a lost cause, because then I forget about it, and I don't get back to it. So I try to leave them unread, and then I get back to them. But yeah.
I do the same thing, absolutely. It's just when I open it, it's like, oh, no, I have to respond.
Yep.
Totally do it. Emails,
Yep.
text, it doesn't matter. But nonetheless, I'm glad that we were able to do this. And I've known you for a while, and I know how busy you are, so I knew that was the case. So that's just what happens.
Yeah, probably known you for what, 8 years? 6 years maybe?
I think 6. Yeah, probably 6 years.
Yeah.
When we were rocking and rolling network marketing in Wisconsin.
Yep. All that direct sales. Direct sales
Yep.
is where it's at if you do it right.
That's right, totally. Absolutely. I think both of us had a really good experience with that and definitely taught us a lot about ourselves in business, I would say. Would you agree with that?
I think that's where it's a little bit. I don't view direct sales as a true. You're not operating a true business. You don't have to worry about the inventory and the shipping and the So I view it as a really great way to build sales skills and a really great way to earn a above average income for sure. But it's very different than just running up a straight up your own startup or your own business, because you got to worry about the shipping and the inventory and like shipping labels and stamps and like other people that are actually employees underneath you and filing payroll tax and workman's comp, and there's so many other things that you got to worry about. That's why I think direct sales is such a great opportunity for people to get started, because you don't have to worry about all that. You can just basically pay $80 or $3,000 or $1,500 and you got your own business. And you can go start making money like right now, and you don't have to worry about all those details that you do in a regular startup or a painting business or a real estate business, whatever it might be.
Very true. All we had to worry about was someone complaining about the fact that they had to pay for shipping and they didn't have to pay for it on Amazon.
Yeah, and I would take that problem every day.
True, hands down. You easily navigate that. You're right. That's where like the sales definitely come into the sales tools.
Yep.
Definitely come into play. But so that's how I met Justin and became like a brother to me, especially when him and his sister, I met his sister Sarah, her and I got super close. And so the closer her and I got, the more I saw Justin and his family, and have so much love and respect for the whole Spalding crew. And I want to dive in quickly here and introduce Justin, though, just to give a little bit of background, because today we're going to talk about the fact that he has overcome a lot of naysayers and doubters to get to where he's at today. But let me tell you where he's at today. So he has been active in real estate since 2009, which is basically is that fresh out of college for you, or are you still in college?
Well, so I count that as when I started, because that's when I started really learning about and going out and looking at properties.
Okay, awesome. So active in real estate since 2009, since 2012.
And I was a sophomore in college at that point, to answer your question.
In 2009?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, very good. So like you're studying something in school, but also like on the side, like playing video games.
Yeah,
or-
and then soon after I was like skipping classes to read my own books that I would pick on real estate and investing, and I'd show up to football practice, skip some classes, and then read my own stuff.
Very early on, what you could say is Justin found his passion, which was with real estate. Some find it in girlfriends, you know, but like, or like, who knows what. But Justin, I love that. I love that you took what you're interested in, just took off with it. I think that is such a beautiful lesson. And if we, as, you know, parents, I'm not a parent, but could recognize the things that our kids are interested in and allow them to flow with it, would be incredible. Like, think of the world of difference that would make for kids.
Well, and that's really what I had in my parents, right? Whatever we decided to go after, our parents just said, well, pursue excellence in that craft or in that thing or in that sport or whatever. So that's kind of how I was always raised and growing up. So I think that's what led to me skipping some classes and reading my books, because it's just like, well, it's what I'm going to go after, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, you had the support of your parents. They weren't saying, like, you got to be in every single class, you got to be doing this or that. They said, just pursue it. It's beautiful. I've talked to your parents about that, specifically your dad, and actually have asked him to be a guest on the podcast as well.
Oh,
because
cool.
I would like him to talk about parenting, and just because, and knowing you and your sister, I feel like there's a lot he could share, both of your parents could share in parenting.
He's probably a hard one to pin down too, but he'll do it. I know he'll do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he said yes before you said yes, actually.
Yep.
But anyways, let's get back to this intro about Justin. So, active in real estate since 2009. Since 2012, he has completed transactions with a total deal volume of over $80 million. He's raised more than $12.8 million of third-party investor funds, all of which have been successfully invested into cash flow producing property, the largest being 199 unit, which was an $18.7 million deal. Real quick, why didn't they just make it a 200 unit building?
I think maybe at one point it was, and maybe they converted a unit, but sometimes it's just strictly on how much you have for green space and how many parking spots you can fit and how many whatever. So I'm sure it's either one of the two. They converted an apartment to like an office or a workout facility because we have that there, or it's just how the 199 was the max based on all those parameters.
Perfect. So today he is the president and CEO of the Spalding Group, which is a private equity and management company. That began in 2016 and provides real estate management services to all of these real estate holdings that I actually did not share with you guys. There's a whole paragraph that you could look at Justin's LinkedIn profile if you really want to see him. It's quite amazing. But the entire portfolio currently consists of cash flow producing real estate valued in excess of $53 million.
If we took it to market today, I know it would go for more than 53. I know it. Like 15 or 20% more.
You're just a little competitive, aren't you?
I just know it.
I love it. But most recently, I thought this was really interesting too. Due to COVID, you saw an opportunity, which all entrepreneurs do. They see an opportunity where others don't. So in the spring of 2020, this year, Justin started Prime Painters, an interior-exterior residential and commercial painting company. How's that going, Justin?
It's good. I mean, I was either gonna, I didn't want to curl up in my COVID bunker and have all my businesses go bankrupt. So I'm like, we got to do something here and just go for it, right?
Really, everyone's home, working on their houses. And
Yeah.
Why not start a painting company? Right?
Yeah.
So Justin also is a minority shareholder of Movana, which stands for Mixed Animal Veterinarian Associates of North America. Movana currently owns 30 plus veterinary practices throughout the continental United States. And Justin was a NCAA All-American football player at the University of Dubuque, Iowa, and is an inductee of the University of Dubuque Athletic Hall of Fame. It's pretty badass. And last but not least, when it comes to his career, Justin is the author of a new book, his first book, titled The Sure Thing, which I'll let him explain later. I think you would do a much better job explaining that than I would. And on a personal note, not only is he my friend, who I have loads of respect for, he is a very devoted newlywed husband, bonus dad, brother, and son. Right now he's holding up his ring to the camera for all of us that can't see that, of course. Congrats on that, Justin. It was
I was thinking Beyonce.
Little Beyonce, hey, put a ring on it. So great. Did I do a good job introducing you there?
Yeah, for sure.
Is there anything else you think I've missed?
Nope. That's it.
Nope? Okay.
Good.
Well, then we can segue into the bulk of what we're going to talk about today, which is how you have overcome all that you have in order to be who you are today. And as you and I have been friends, I've heard different stories of how, you wanted to play college football. People think you wouldn't be able to. And I'll let you go on and explain more about that. But then there was also a business idea you had after college, network marketing, and now real estate. So there are many things. There are many things where I have literally, with Justin Spalding in my mind, if there is something that he puts his mind to and that he sets his heart to, there is no stopping. Like, I don't even know if the universe could get in your way. I feel like you literally have that sort of, what's the word? Focus, maybe? Discipline?
Yeah, determination, motivation, courage.
Yeah.
I don't know, like all that. I mean,
all of it. It's crazy.
It sometimes it takes a lot longer than you think it's going to take to get to where you're going. I know that, but yeah, I mean, if you just stick with it, you can. Right, but I mean, I'm 30, but I tell people too. I was meeting with a new investor the other day, actually like last week, and they're looking to invest $5 million to $10 million with our company and in our next projects, in our upcoming projects. And I was just telling them, like, from 2016 to 2019, I basically turned from I feel like I went from being like 25-year-old to a 52-year-old experience wise, just because of everything that was going on in that time frame. But then you back up and I started really learning this and diving into this and going to look at properties in 2009. So, we're 11 years in, and some people don't pick what they want to do until, they're 35 or 40, and, so yeah, and you always set goals and you have targets and stuff like that, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer, and I think that's what discourages people too, is, they run into a roadblock, and then the third roadblock, and then the seventh roadblock, and that they let that stop them. And I'm just like, well, it just might take a little bit longer, but we're gonna make it through the roadblocks.
No, it's so good. So has it always been something that's been within you, or did you learn that gradually over time?
I think it kind of has been in me, because I was kind of always that way. I mean, I remember my mom not showing up for, like, she was running late one day. I was like maybe second or third grade for football practice, and I just started like walking as a third grader, and that's like 2 miles into town, and so she came, like, her car came over the hill and she like picked me up. But so I think part of it's partially just instilled in me, I feel like, or maybe just getting those habits and characteristics from my mom and dad, growing up.
Very good. So why don't you explain the story about college football, because I think that'll give people an idea of who you are.
Like which part of college football, or from which angle?
Well, how did it go? It was something about how you wanted to play someplace and you were maybe back or not like going to get much playing time.
Yeah, so I mean, I had a successful high school career and had, I had visits to like Ohio State and Minnesota, and none of that stuff happened. I had a couple walk-on offers, and ended up going to University of Wisconsin-Whitewater for my first season. And there, there was a couple. There's a lot of good. I played running back, and there's a lot of really good running backs on that team. I think like actually 3 or 4 of us ended up to go on to become All-Americans. One of the kids that was there, who was the starter for 4 years, he's got like the second most rush yards in any division in college football history, so just an absolute stud. And so I didn't really play that year, and actually I still have it. It's at my place. I have a basically they kind of we made it through camp and stuff like that, and the position coaches write up a like kind of like a report card, a sense, on like how good your footwork is and your speed and your agility and how well you understand the playbook and all this stuff. And on there I had a rating of not even being an all-conference caliber player essentially. And so then when I realized I was there was that much depth on the depth chart, and they wanted me to start playing defense the following year, I ended up having an opportunity to go to the University of Dubuque and play for a coach that I had known for a long time growing up and everything, because he was just named the head coach there at that time. And so I decided to transfer, went there, played running back, became a 3-time captain, All-American, numerous. I was selected as a all-commerce player three times, and so I was able to prove people wrong a little bit, and so that was kind of cool.
Okay, and then after college, I know you had the idea, your entrepreneur spirit kicked in very early, and you had the idea to create or to open a franchise, right? A Domino's franchise?
So going through school, I knew that, and as I started reading these books, I knew I had to find a way to make money to then invest. And so, and I also wanted to be able to get experience while making money, right? I just didn't want to just go make money. I wanted to get experience. And so I'm like, okay, well, I could, maybe I have a shot at playing professional football. I had Canadian football tryouts, and that didn't happen. And I let go of that really quick. Like, I'm like, okay, I made it out healthy of college football, and no team picked me up out of the initial tryouts and stuff. Let's move on. So rewind a little bit before that, I'd been in touch with this recruiter, and it was like called an executive training program for basically people that were age 21, still in college, through like age 23 or 24. And somehow they'd selected me. I've been in touch with them. I reached out and said, hey, I'm interested in this. And I went through the whole application process. I made it through the first round, made it through the second round, and then they ended up flying you out to Domino's corporate headquarters in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And so went there, I don't know if he was like an HR guy or operations guy, but I just got grilled on like what I already had on my resume, which was like, just talking about the books I had read. I'd like dabbled in the stock market and like made a little bit of money, like just playing around when I was in college. I had that on there, and I had my football stuff on there. And he just like really started grilling me, and then he focused mainly on, oh, you went to the University of Dubuque. Everyone else here went to either like Wisconsin or Michigan or bigger school and or a better business school or whatever. And so I really felt like he kind of just pushed on that button a lot to me, and I'm like, well, F you in a way, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go do my own thing at this point. And that's when I got involved in direct sales. So I was really underlooked based on the university I went to.
Which is crazy to me. I mean, like, I think it's also interesting to underlook people who don't have college degrees. Like, what I've seen in a lot of entrepreneurs since, what direct sales did for me was open me up to the entrepreneur world, really. I mean...
But, and maybe he also looked at those things too on my resume and said, well, look, we don't want to make an investment in him. And I didn't understand this then, but now, 12 years or 8 years later or whatever, I get it. Where like if I'm looking, I wouldn't want someone like myself either who's going to like get this experience, get connections, and then leave, right? Because that's probably what I would have done. I would probably been there for 3 years, maybe, right?
Yes.
So
maybe you would have opened a ton of Domino's all across the country.
Yeah.
And even pizza. If you've seen Justin, it doesn't look like he eats pizza ever. You ever eat pizza, Justin?
I do. I had pizza this weekend.
Good for you. Gonna live a little bit. If you're in the 30 and I actually don't miss pizza. It's feeling amazing. But that's a total side note. Back on track. Did any of these experiences give you a little chip on the shoulder? Like, did finding success in football give you the confidence to go after something like Domino's franchise?
I don't know if it was a confidence. My main thing coming out of school is I just remembered I never wanted like scoring, like being an All-American or scoring a game-winning touchdown in a conference championship game to be like the story I was talking about when I was 45, 50 years old. Yes, it's a great story and we'll talk about that story, but like I don't want that to be like my highlight of my life. I wanted it to be a springboard into the next thing, right? I didn't want to settle.
Can you imagine literally like the highlight of your life being at the age of 22?
But there's a lot of athletes that's the case.
Yeah. Well, sure, it could be the highlight of your athletic career perhaps, but I mean like your whole entire life.
But that's a lot. I feel like there's a handful of athletes that's like their high point of their life ever, and I did not, and I'd seen it, and like I didn't want to be that.
Well, with a lot of those athletes, they get their entire identity wrapped up within athlete, and they don't really see themselves as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's too bad, really, because I think what sports gives us is the ability to connect with people. I think team sports are so great at teaching you teamwork. And that's a skill that can translate into any business, any job, really. But it's too bad.
In those first like 2 years, I mean, I get it because like I had something to like that I was going for, and still those first 2 or 3 years, because I've been playing since I was in first grade and at a high level. And so those first 2 or 3 years are like really hard. So let alone if you are like a D1 type guy or a pro guy, I get how you can lose. Like you don't know what to do after that. I get it.
That makes sense.
But
day to day,
yep,
filled with practice and games, and
then that's what you're known as, and all that stuff. So You got to
That's
break
a good
through
point.
that. And I talk to athletes about that now. Like, I have a couple. I've probably talked with between 8 and 10 professional athletes over the last like year and a half, just because they've stumbled across me on Instagram or wherever, and they're like, hey, I'm making, these guys are making anywhere from 800 to $6 million a year right now, and I'm like, but when that spigot comes off, what happens, right? Like, what are you doing? Like, you should be making connections. You should be getting your money to work for you. You shouldn't be spending any of this money because it's going to be around you for such a short period of time. Not everyone is Peyton Manning, where when they retire they're going to make just as much, or Tony Romo, where when they retire they're going to make just as much or more just off their name from what they did in football.
Right.
Like Peyton Manning with all his branding stuff that he built. Not everyone's going to be that way. And
When I was learning about budgeting and whatnot, I followed Dave Ramsey, and he has a saying called "the NFL is not for long." Like,
And that's
you have
true.
that salary or that income not for very long, and that's a very good point. You had said something about, you said you went from Domino's into direct sales, and having not been allowed into that program. How did you find direct sales? Was it?
Well, I'd actually been taking that product for like maybe 3 or 4 years already, and I loved it. I had no clue you could sell it or build a team and make money doing it. And then my trainer basically said, hey, those products that we've been taking that we really like. I said, yeah. And he's like, my family, we've decided to start making some extra income just to give us some more options in life, basically. And he was someone that, I had a lot of respect for. He had trained me. We'd been super close. He's one of my best friends today even. And, Brad and Jen at Clegora. And when he said he was in and he wanted me to do it, and, I was looking, I knew what I was trying to do. I'm like, wow, this is a way that, I get to work with one of my best friends. I get to be in sales and grow that skill set. And I can make, unlimited amount of money essentially. I'm like, this is a no-brainer for me to. I was probably Brad's easiest recruit into direct sales ever, because he just basically. I'm like, what do I have to do, Brad? And he's like, you make an investment of $2,100, done. Like, I did it like the next day, and but I was just like ready to roll with it.
Yep. But then what?
Well, what do you mean? But then what? There's a lot. There's a lot of ways that we could go from there.
Yeah, that's very true. So because what we're really focused on is like overcoming the naysayers and the doubters. And I think with my experience, especially when I got into direct sales, my friend had tried to recruit me for about 6 months, and I kept saying, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not selling anything. I like the products, but I'm not going to share them with people. And then for me, it transitioned very quickly once I did. They had a challenge, a program, and I had such good results that I literally couldn't stop talking about it. I didn't feel like I was selling it, and I had this belief in the product that really just, for me, I was asking everyone to do it under the belief that they were going to feel like their best self if they did this. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted them to help. I wanted to help them feel like their best self. So for me, it was so easy to not even listen to the naysayers. But was that your experience, or what was?
I don't really.
Emotional.
Yeah, I don't listen.
Emotional.
Yeah, I didn't really listen to them. I never really have listened to naysayers. I remember when I started, I had friends that were, going out and getting, salary type jobs, $50,000 to $75,000 a year right out of the gate. And here I am, like my first year, because I'm doing direct sales. Like, I think I made $12,000 or something like that, or $14,000 total my first maybe 10 months out of college. And but I knew like what I was building, that I wasn't going to see results or the actual impact of what I was building or be able to reap any benefit. Like the things I did in 2012, I knew I wasn't going to reap that benefit till 2014 or 2015. And it's just like now, doing what I'm doing, the success that I've had already, like really we've only, what you see or other people see, or whatever success that I've been able to feel or whatever, and we're sitting here September 15, 2020, really I'm only paid up through like September 15, 2018 or 2017. What I've done, what I did in 2018 and 2019 and 2020 so far, really hasn't come to fruition yet, or really hasn't, because it's just it's when you're doing your own thing, when you're building a business, everything's delayed, right? You're investing all the time, and not just dollars, but time, effort, energy, you're investing all the time, and you're never like, you're not going to see the return on it next week. And that's going back to what we were talking about before, breaking through walls. Like, you have to break through that mental barrier of, okay, if I start, like, I'm not going to see a reward for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, 36, 60 months. Like, I tell some of my friends who are super passionate about stuff, I'm like, you better give this 5 years. And then if you don't have any results, then maybe look at switching or, whatever. But if you give it 3 months and then you quit, like, you really didn't care, you really didn't want it, there was, you thought you wanted it or something, but you really didn't want it. And so for me, I knew that, and I had people that, like, saying, oh, you're doing, they would just, and maybe I made this thing up in my own head more than anything, but it just always felt like to me, people were like, oh, you're just that AdvoCare person or that direct sales person. And but really, like, what I was doing was I was making an income there so I could get started in real estate. And then I started in real estate, and once again, there's naysayers and stuff, and people think, oh, he's this real estate guy. But then really now it's like we have like private equity, and that's a big business for us, being able to put other investor dollars to work, and we get compensated based on the returns that we get those investors. So and it's tiered, right? So the better we do for our investors, the more of the excess profits we get. And so people still don't really recognize that. They think, oh, he's just real estate, but really there's another step to it. And so I'm always, doing what I'm doing, I'm always trying to stay way ahead of it before something else can kind of put me out of business or I get stuck in a corner. I'm trying to, like, layer my income, right? And so, like, when the AdvoCare thing happened and they announced that, hey, everyone that's making $100,000 or you're making significant money, you're not going to be able to make money that way anymore. And they're just basically going to go right to consumer. When that happened, like, I think AdvoCare was still paying me maybe $3,000 to $5,000, so like half of what it was during the high time for me. But when I lost that $3,000 to $5,000, by that point, I'd layered other money, meaning I'd invested all my AdvoCare money, so that money started making me more money every single month, and into businesses and companies and real estate. That I was like, okay, so what? But I cared about my sister, I cared about my friends, I cared about them, and I was more worried about them than I was the $3,000 to $5,000 because of my mindset and what I was doing with those dollars and thinking ahead, and thinking not like everyone else thinks, and overcoming those naysayers in many different areas.
So what you basically said there, to wrap that kind of up, is that, not to wrap it up, but to sum it up, is that you've been, in your preparation, like, a lot of your preparation is done to prepare for a storm, so to speak. Like,
I always think a storm's coming. I never want a storm be able to wipe us out. Yeah. So I'm always like, how can I leverage ourselves or hedge ourselves against what we have going right now so that we can keep going? And so, like, some people are like, oh yeah, seven forms of income or whatever. And I'm like, dude, 30. Like, if I can get paid every single day of the month, then I'm going to be all right no matter what storm comes.
For sure, Tony Robbins style. Oh gosh, what did you just say? Let me think of something. This is the part I'm going to edit out. I can't remember what you just said.
I don't know what I just said.
Storm.
I don't know.
Storm.
It's gone. I hate when that happens, but then I always think, like, obviously it's not meant to be there right now. But, oh crap, I really lost my train of
Storm was
thought.
brewing.
Something about a storm coming,
Being ready for a storm.
layered
Oh,
income.
yeah, storm coming. Thank you.
Ryder, that was Ryder. We'll give it the credit.
Yeah, thank you, Roger. So, hearing you say that makes me think that you faced some storm before, which helped you better prepare for the ones. Because for me, example, like, I really hadn't faced a financial storm until that, our direct sales company kind of blew up. And then I was like, oh my gosh, people have been telling me to do this, I never listened, and now I'm faced with a financial issue. Like, I will never again be in this position. And so all of my actions after that, my spending, my job hunt, or whatever it was all because I was going to avoid exactly what I experienced before. So was there at any time in your life a storm that came?
So this goes into what we talked about at the beginning of direct sales not being a real business. When I got involved in direct sales, I read the entire distributor agreement. Who else did that?
So did I.
Okay, so you did that, but I know I bet
like, ooh, we're screwed. Like,
literally I bet less than 0.5% did. And the moment that I saw, basically for any reason at any time, for no cause whatsoever, like the income could be gone, I was like, because they could change their business model, and it doesn't even have to be malicious. People think people framed AboCare or talked about AboCare like it was malicious in some ways. I'm like, dude, it's a business, man. Like, the family owns a business. We don't own an asset here, right? And so when I think that stems from when I was younger, you know, like my parents' veterinary clinics, and like when they built the first location in 2000, like I didn't understand what was necessarily going on, but as a third grader and a fourth grader, like I could feel the stress of the situation. Like they operated out of no building for a while. Then there was a delay in the construction, so they still couldn't get into the building. And there was an issue going on, and a fight going on with another partner. And so I didn't know, like, once again, I didn't understand back then, but I could feel, like, the stress. I could feel the severity of it. I could feel, you know, my mom and dad would talk about the certain situations, like, so we'd hear about it or, you know, whatever, and I could just feel it. And it never affected me then, and they never let it affect us because they were still at our football games. They still, you know, we still got to play sports, all this stuff. But I felt it then, and then, you know, 2008 happened, and they had a lot of success from, you know, 02 to 06, 07, and 08 happened, and GM closed in Janesville, where, you know, their biggest clinic was at the time. And when that happened, like, once again, I could feel, I was, you know, 16, 17, 18 years old, but I could feel, like, the stress of the moment again. So I'd never actually, like, really experienced it myself, but I felt it in those moments. And then it goes back to like reading and just knowing other people's story or adventure. You know, like you can learn a lot and not make the same mistakes. And so I read a lot of things that people were going through in 07, 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, coming out of that recession. And I'm like, I never want to be in that position. And now there's people, like, I'm telling them, I'm like, look, did you not, like, there's people doing now what was going on then. And I'm just like, yeah, it might be, it's not going to crash right now, and you're going to be fine right now, but what happens when? And they're like, oh, and they just play it off. I'm like, you better read some history, dude.
Right, yeah.
So that's where it comes from. That's where it comes from me, and like, I never, and I don't even need flashy things. I mean, I don't even, the rental house that we got right now is awesome. It's on the lake, but like the freaking roof leaks. Like, but I don't need, like, I just don't need fancy, like real fancy stuff or, you know, whatever. And, I just like to have options and unlimited options in life, and I'm not just all about the money, but at the same time, it's the money that is going to give you the time, and the money is going to put you not in a stressful situation. I mean, it's never, you know, people say it's never about the money until you don't have any money and now you're getting a divorce, until you don't have any money and now you can't eat food, until you don't have any money and now you can't go on vacation, until you don't have any money you can't take your kids to Disney, until you don't have any money and you can't, and you can't, and you can't. And I know this is that money does give you the option to do all those things.
Yeah, I totally agree. I used to believe money didn't give you happiness.
That was probably a good clip right there.
I know, I thought that too.
I think it does, it enhances your life. Wherever you're at now, it's just going to enhance your life. And it's certainly, I mean, think of the marital issues that exist, but the majority of them are due to financial stress. And it's crazy when people, you know, want to not believe that. And I'm in a space too of realizing, like, I used to think, like, I don't need that much money, and I don't need that much money. I'm in the same boat. Like, do I like nice things? Yeah, but I'm super happy not having them. And the having more money, well, I think I heard a quote, you know, from, maybe it wasn't his quote, but, like, having more money is just going to make you more of who you are. And I think it's beautiful. Like, I have known you for 6 years. You haven't changed in regards to your personality, you know, like maybe you've got more focused on your goals and whatnot, but I wouldn't say you've changed at all. Mm-hmm. And of course, I don't know your net worth, but I would assume you're doing pretty good. But yeah.
Well, that's the crazy thing too, is when you start to put money to work, like it literally snowballs. It's insane. Sorry, I took you off your last thought. But
I'm writing that down actually because I might make that the quote I post. So 1 second. It's
like, it's crazy. And then you start to do the math in your head and you're like, oh my God. And then once the snowball starts going, like, it's a real saying and it's true.
Yeah, for sure.
And but once again though, that's something that you don't see in the first 24 months. That's something you don't see in the first, like, I worked like crazy from, you know, 09 to 2016, 17, and I'm just like, maybe like 12 months ago, I got to a point I'm like, oh damn, I'm like it's different, like it's kind of, it's crazy. And then you start to like, okay, now this is what's happened in 18 and 19 and 20, and really none of that has really got a lot of traction yet. And when it does, and you start to like actually look at the numbers and the potential of it, if you keep grinding away and doing what needs to be done, it's like it's just crazy. It opens your eyes. You're like, wow. But you got to get to that point.
It kind of bothers me how excited I get when you talk about this kind of stuff, because like I used to hate the fact that I love money, that I wanted more money, and now I just like I feel myself getting so excited every single time someone talks about something like this. But I don't know that anybody wouldn't really like. It's so possible to have so much and to. Do you think any of us have like I like to focus on visualization, manifestation, and this is kind of a segue right now. But do you believe in that, or do you think it's just hard work, or is it a combination of both?
Well, and by the way, too, this whole thing is not just about money, because it's about everything in life, right? It can be whatever it is. It's not just money, but that whole concept applies everywhere in life. The manifest, yeah, like, yeah, I do to an extent, but it's like. It still takes, you got to have that for sure, because you have to see where you want to go and get, and yeah, you can manifest thing and for sure bend the universe, and I really believe that, and you can do all that stuff, but it takes an insane amount of work on top of the vision, not just like, ooh, not, and so many people get that twisted where, they're like, yeah, manifest it, and I'm like, yes, but I really understand what it means to like actually like quote unquote manifest something or like talk it to light or whatever, and it takes an insane amount of work. I mean, it's like you already know, like I already know where I'm gonna be, right? And I see it, and whatever, and that's great. But if there's zero work, like it's not gonna happen. It's not real.
You'd say like you focus more on the vision, like visualizing where you're going to be.
I have to intentionally make the work follow, right? I mean,
yeah.
So I have to be intentional with the vision, but also very intentional. Like it's 50-50. Like you can't do, you're probably more likely to just blindly put in work and become successful than to just have the manifestation part.
Yeah, for sure. I think it all comes down to the work. I mean, I think you have to have a vision of where you want to be, something driving you, because otherwise if you're working, what are you working towards? You could just be like running in a circle, right? But
I think the vision will get you, the more detailed you can be with your vision, then all that effort and energy is directed more narrowly and focused so that you're going to get there faster for sure.
I personally think that's one of the biggest reasons one of the biggest things that helped me overcome the doubters and naysayers is because I was so convinced in my mind of where I was going with this and what it could do for people. And I'm talking back about the network marketing company that we were part of. But the vision was so clear. Like I had my goals in 6 months because I knew I was just so set and believed it so wholeheartedly, like nothing was getting in my way. And I think for you too, what I've seen you do, like you believe in your potential to be an All-American football player. Like people doubted you, they gave you grief. Did you ever for a second believe them?
No, I didn't even listen. It doesn't even penetrate my mind or whatever. It's
okay. So right there, I think it's something we could definitely talk about, because that is not the case for most people, and most people listening don't believe themselves. There's people that I know who have like imposter syndrome, where they have everything it takes to be great at what they want, but because they don't believe that they are who they are, they think that they're not able to achieve that they couldn't, that would never be them. They never fulfill their potential. Mm-hmm. But you're the opposite of that, So like for those who are listening today, how do you help someone who has a mindset that's not setting them up for success if they believe the doubters?
But I think I just don't listen to anyone pretty much, period, other than those that are in my immediate circle. I just don't, like, even if it's someone that says, oh my God, you're doing so well here, like, I don't even hear that comment. So it's not even just the negative stuff, it's just that I'm in my own bubble and I don't even, if someone says good job, it's like I'm just like it's not even a good job. It's just like, okay, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean to not say thank you, because sometimes I forget to say oh thank you or something like that. It's not. It's just I literally, I don't really recognize it as a compliment. I just recognize that as, well, that was what was supposed to happen. I was supposed to do that. You know.
Okay, so who's your immediate circle?
I mean, you know, my family, obviously. You know, my family, obviously. I'm married now. My wife. You know,
Are any of these people that doubt you, people that tell you can't?
No, and you know, and then in my circle, who has my ear, you know, for certain things in our business and you know all that stuff. Obviously, our chief operating officer, our controller, those two. But even them, like, you know, and I think, you know, they're 100% on board with what we're doing here, you know, and they're never gonna say, oh, we can't do this, because they're all in with what we're doing, right? So I'm surrounded, even at work, with people who are all in and thinking big, right? But I mean, other than that, like, do I ask for opinion of other people sometimes, like, or what they do in certain situations or whatever, to try to get, because I still try to look at everything on both sides of the coin, right? I try as hard as I can. I'm always contradicting myself, and it's the only thing that my wife and I will like fight about, because I'll literally like contradict every situation, even if I'm 100%, yeah, even if I'm like, if I'm 100% on one side of the coin backing some opinion, I'll still look at it from the other side to be like, okay, try to figure out what I'm missing, or, you know, whatever. But as far as, I don't let anyone else's opinion on that like deter me from where I'm going, right? Or, you know, I like, just like the whole COVID thing, like the state's supposed to be shut down and I'm starting a new business. I'm just like, I would rather go to jail than listen to someone else and potentially have all my employees not be able to eat tomorrow, not get a paycheck, and to potentially like have all this work for the last 12 years go down the drain because of this, like,
yeah, right,
you know. And
absolutely. So I love that, because what I'm thinking here is that, like, you have no idea your mindset is so strong and so resolute. You have always been surrounded with like people that have like a close circle. Your parents, I know your parents, I love your parents to death. I cannot imagine them ever saying, Justin, don't do that, like, with some goal that you've had. I can only imagine them saying, put your best foot forward, like, get after it, you know, like, we're here to support you. How can we support you?
Yep. And that's the same way my wife, that's the same way, you know, our you know, my COO and controller, that's the same way they are. Like, when I tell them we're going to do something crazy, like start a painting business, they weren't even really shocked by it. They're like, okay, here we go. You know, like, like we're rolling. We're not, there's like not any resistance to, but at the same time, once again, you still have to be able to look at like what can happen, right? And be aware.
And I think you trust yourself. I think that's important for people to know, like, you have to be able to trust yourself, and you have so much confidence to go after what you want. I think a lot of people don't have that because they have a lot of self-doubt. And I really have the feeling that you've never really experienced self-doubt.
I mean, I don't know. I think I ignore it pretty well.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think I ignore it pretty well. I think we all have that. I have it for sure. I mean, I have to make myself do. I do not want to get. I'm uncomfortable getting in front of the camera sometimes. Like, I don't want to have to do some Instagram post, but I know that attention is what's getting us investment dollars and building a brand, and like, so it's not. I don't want to do, or 100% love. Do I love what I do? Like, yes. So I mean, but every single aspect, no, I don't. It's just part of what has to be done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This is so fun for me, because it's like I keep trying to dig in, and your mind is just so strong on that. And I am trying to figure out like how we can best help people to, like, I mean, what I really think people need in listening to this is I hope they understand, like, if there's something that sets your heart on fire, absolutely go after it, you know? And when if people in your life within your close circle are telling you, no, you can't do this, or it's never going to work out, or, you know, the person who cares so much about you who's saying, well, this is how it could potentially go wrong, kind of scaring you from it. I think a lot of people I know people in my life specifically who, when I started Advocare, they were like, well, gave me all of the fears, tried to like kind of scare me out of it, right? Out of love for me, out of wanting to protect me from failure. And it's just tough. Like, if someone listening is that person for somebody else, what you gotta realize is, like, if that person's meant to fail, they're gonna fail, and it's not gonna kill them. They're just gonna fail. And hopefully it inspires them to keep going, to push past it. Like you said, like, you're gonna hit obstacles, you're gonna fail. It's not gonna always work out. It might take longer than you think it's gonna take, but you don't stop. And I personally have been, I mean, even with this podcast, like, I remember talking to your dad about it when we went on that trip to Florida when I went with your family. And he was just like, I mean, why aren't you doing it already? And I, in my head, was like, I was like, I don't know. But in my head, I was like, because I can't do it. That's why I hadn't started it yet. And it literally took me going through a few life failures to be like, screw this. I mean, I just failed at that and this. I don't even care if this fails. I'm going to do it anyways. Like, I'm going to have so much fun doing it.
Most people don't ask themselves this. And, like, I used to ask myself this all the time. And now I'm just like, and now I say yes until it doesn't make sense to say yes anymore. Right? So I'll push every opportunity as far as I can until this just doesn't make sense anymore. Right? But people need to just say, okay, if I do this thing, what's the absolute best thing that could happen? So I looked at it with the painting company. Like, we could have a business that I literally think if we have the capacity and we can get enough painters, that we can do $500,000 a month painting business. So that's like, and I think we could build a $20 million contracting or painting business. So that's the best thing, right? And then I'm like, okay, what's most likely to happen? Well, what's most likely to happen is we're going to sell some jobs and we're at least going to break even on this thing. Okay, well, I don't need this thing right now. I mean, I have other things, right? So okay, then that's probably like, if that's the most likely, like, worst case kind of scenario. And then I said, what's the absolute worst? The absolute worst thing that happens is I go out, I get all the painting supplies, I hire a painter, it doesn't work out after 4 months, we close the doors, and I probably lose like $8,000. That's the absolute worst. So now you look at, now this is the issue, is the problem is the absolute best thing that could happen is you have a $500,000 a month company. The worst thing that happens in that situation is I have an $8,000 loss. What's most likely to happen is, we make a few $10,000 in year one. That's really what right? And so you look at that, and to me it's just like a no-brainer, like pretty much every time, to just keep saying yes to take on opportunity. But people don't.
See, what I like about you, Justin, is that I don't feel like you have what holds most people back, which is also the care of what others think of you. I think a lot of people fear others' opinions of them, and that's just, I mean, how many people start a painting company in COVID, post it all over Facebook and social media, and are proud of it? Like, most people feel like, oh gosh, I'm just doing something else. Here I go, doing another thing.
Yeah, I mean, once again, that's going back to, like, when people pat you on the back, like, you can't take that comment too seriously. When people say you suck, you can't take that too seriously. Like, every day there's people saying some junk on, whether it's TikTok, there's Ryder shaking his head, TikTok or Instagram or whatever. I get a stupid DM or, whatever. But then the same, on the other hand, like, just probably now, more often than not, it's probably a good comment, a positive comment, but it's the same thing. I just, like, it's like the Rain-X on the windshield. No matter what, that droplet is just flying right off without the windshield wiper even operating anymore. So, yeah. God, that's another good one, Ryder. But that's what it's almost like Teflon or whatever, but it's not just, you can't be selective. Like, it's got to be like every comment, because what's going to happen is the most, like, if you start to have success and you start to believe everyone's telling you that you're the greatest, like, you're just going to let up. And then 6 months from now, you just take 25 steps backwards.
Absolutely. So, to kind of wrap this up a little bit here, what I think would be super helpful, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, so we'll see what you come up with, but what would be maybe like the top 3 things you could do to have, like, the Spalding mindset, the Justin Spalding mindset? Are there 3 things that you think an average individual could do daily to help them just start building their mindset to become more like yours?
If you are not where you want to be and you're complaining about any circumstance of your life, say yes to every opportunity that comes along. yes, yes. If you've ever seen Jim Carrey's Yes Man, like that movie is 100%. It's a comedy, but like that's legitimately, it's real. That's like legitimate. And so
Watch Yes Man.
Yeah, so watch Yes Man, like, because it's like, that's what it's like. It's, yeah, it needs to be yes, 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 everything, because you don't know what one yes is going to lead to just some crazy thing out of the blue that might or might not be related to the first thing that you said yes to. That's going to be the game changer.
Absolutely.
And I mean, the opportunity of a lifetime comes by every 2 weeks, but people don't say yes to even, like, they have no clue. And you don't recognize them all. Now as you become better at this, you start to recognize more. But
one came my way today. I got a Facebook message from somebody that I knew from childhood who he reached out, wanted me to take over something that he runs, and I saw the message and my mind just goes, ooh, what's the universe doing? You know, like, this is interesting. I would typically say no to this, but I'm going to definitely look into this to see what it is, because what I have found is the same exact thing. Like, you have to say yes and just explore it to see what's there.
Yep.
Saying no without having any idea what you're saying no to is just foolish. It's so foolish. And I saw people do that so many times through network marketing. They just thought they knew what I was presenting to them without me even having them giving me any time of day. It's like crazy to me. You know, had I said no to that opportunity, I wouldn't have met some of the most important people in my life.
So you got it. You have to say yes till it makes sense not to say yes anymore. So then when you get to that point, now it's easy to cop out because, oh, this just doesn't make sense. And it's like, okay, does it really not make sense for you, or is it just out of your comfort zone, right? So that's like the next. That's like kind of the next thing is deciphering then between, you know, is it legitimately not? Because I know right now that every deal that I've done, they're for sure with one or two reasons not to do them. But once again, then I went back to what's the best thing that happens, what's the worst thing that can happen, what's most likely to happen, right? So you have to be able to decipher at that point, like, okay, but you should be pushing forward as far as you can, and yes, 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 down that one. It's like if someone asks you, hey, like your friend, hey, this proposal thing, whatever, you say yes, and then try as hard as you can to keep saying yes until literally it doesn't make sense, because there's not that reward. You know, it doesn't make sense to say yes anymore.
Okay.
But make sure it's not just out of being uncomfortable or something that doesn't feel right yet, because nothing really feels right yet. You know, I mean.
Yeah, it's so true. Nothing at the beginning feels right.
Yeah, no.
Everything feels uncomfortable until you're more used to it.
So I'd say that, and then another thing that I haven't been as it's funny because when I get like on the path or going down a direction, I for some reason just suffers. But if I'm ever having like a struggle or a tough time, like something that I always do is wrote down my goals and visions like 2 times a day, and I wrote them down, and I've done that, you know, pretty consistently for 8 years. Once again, it's been hit or miss here over the last year, just because it's like I think I get to a spot, and this is a horrible excuse, I get to a spot where I'm like busy and I'm so ingrained in actually doing it that I just don't actually write it down. But that's something that definitely, like, things that I was writing down in 2016 that I didn't think like would happen till 2028, all of them are already done, like check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark. But I wrote them down and visited them, you know, 730 times in a year versus someone that writes down their goals one time, Happy New Year's, right?
How are you doing in the NFL franchise?
I mean, I still think about it and I still write it down. I mean, so we'll see what happens. It'd be awesome, don't
I know what's going to happen, Justin.
Yeah.
You've been writing that down for how long? I don't know if it's part of your daily goals now, but like you used to post about that all the time.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it still is a goal, and it you know,
sense,
and
I guess, huh?
Huh?
Unless it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, but it still is a goal. It's just I think it'd be really awesome. I mean, I would have a blast doing that. I know that. So, but to get there, I got to get all this other stuff right. That I have to hit all these other goals, right? But yes, it's still a vision, and it's still there, and all that.
So basically, it's just say yes to opportunities until it doesn't make sense to say yes. Get used to being uncomfortable. I kind of took from that, and then write down your goals and visions twice a day.
Mm-hmm. And then get better at, if you're someone that really struggles with, you know, negative, you know, feedback, or, you know, someone making fun of you, like, don't take it personally. Like, just let it. Who cares? Like, don't let things affect you personally, and like remove emotion from some of those things.
Absolutely. There's a really good book actually that taught me that. I read it when I was 17. It's The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Have you read that?
I've read it. I can't even remember the book. It's been so long, but I know someone else just mentioned that book too the other day. But
yeah, it's really good. Don't take anything personally.
But it's the same thing. But it's the same thing though. With, once again, the compliments. Like, you have to accept them and be polite or whatever. But don't let.
Yeah.
None of that shouldn't matter. It shouldn't.
I totally agree. I just this past weekend I was with a group of girls and we got into a really deep discussion and got on the topic of shame. And one of them had shared that she was feeling shame. She went through a divorce. She's a young mom, and he kept telling her that she's a bad mom. And I asked her the question. I was like, if you don't mind, I didn't know her very well, but I said, do you believe that you're a bad mom? And she kind of hesitated, and I was like, the only reason that what he's saying is hurting you is because you might believe that to some level within your soul. And I think that's so true. Compliments, negativity, literally any of it only really triggers us if it's something that we truly believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to hear compliments, but sometimes I get them and people are just not, you just tell they're not genuine, and it's it doesn't bother me because I'm not needing their compliment. It's just kind of ridiculous.
See, this could be good or bad, but it's just the truth. 99.9% of the compliments I get, even if they're genuine, once again,
yeah.
And once again, that could be good or bad. I don't know, but I just know that I treat that just like I treat the negative stuff. I'm like, that's what we were supposed to do. That's the job we're on here. That's what's supposed to happen.
So, are these things that you talk about in your book, or
none of this is really in my book.
Okay, you can have a bonus chapter on this because, the title, a sure thing.
I mean, the book. So the title came from. I truly believe that every property we have right now is a sure thing. People question, oh, you're investing in real estate. What if the market, dude? We have 50% to 65% debt to loan to value ratio. So in other words, we're not over leveraged. Our properties can cash flow at crazy vacancy levels, and so I view real estate and cash flow producing real estate as the best investment that you can make, period. And just for multiple reasons, and it talks about those reasons in the book, and then the book just talks about all of our deals and the whole process and how I looked at every deal and how we closed every deal and how I raised money. And so it's kind of my whole last basically 11 years almost as a biography, but yet not in a biography just talking about me. It's really broken down so that other people could use it.
A business biography.
Yeah, it's like a biography. It's my actual story, but there's actual lessons kind of in there, of how I actually structured deals and how I looked at the deals and how I look at deals now and how I looked. And so it just really breaks down, how you can look at investing and how you can look at, But then I also talk about too. I mentioned in the book. I'm a lot of the principles and things in the book, they're not just relatable to money and real estate. You can take them kind of wherever and implement them.
Absolutely.
The first time people read the book, depending on how advanced they are in real estate or investing, they'll. But the more they can read it, the better, because they're just going to be at a different situation at different times in their life. Different things will grab them.
Different times.
Yeah, but that's why I got the title. Is just because I truly believe that we bought the type of assets that we're, are we going to have 4 straight really tough years with these properties at some point? Absolutely, probably. But we buy them in such a way that we can weather those storms and then come out the other side. And as long as you can make it out the other side, as long as you can buy real estate and hold on to it through a bad time, you're always going to make it.
Right. Yeah, that makes total sense.
So
I like the title of your book, knowing that now. A sure thing. It's good. It's really good.
Yep.
Well, if people want to contact you or buy your book, how do they do that?
They can go to my website, www.justinspalding. My last name is spelled S-P-A-U. So www.justinspalding.com. And you can buy the book there. We post a lot of stuff right now on TikTok. We post a lot of stuff on Instagram. You can find me there. Instagram handle is @JustinSpalding. I'm not even sure what is my TikTok handle.
Justin Spalding _
Justin Spalding _ is my TikTok handle. If you guys are on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, you can email me, Justin@SpaldingGroup.com. However, whatever's best for the people that are listening.
Now they have all sorts of ways to contact you.
Yeah.
They're not even going to let you do it, all those options.
They can pick one.
I like the Instagram one only because I'm not on TikTok, but you do post a lot of really good content, and I mean, you post stuff all day long. There's tons of great content. So
Yeah.
it's like nonstop. This is what's going on.
Well,
just
with Ryder here now. I don't know if you share this video, Charlie, but
as he screens over to his content creator writer.
with Ryder here now, he's over there. We do. I think we make
18 pieces of content a day.
18 video /
9 for each. So
18 pieces of content a day.
So, but this is something that is new. Like, Ryder hasn't been there always. This is
3
something
weeks?
you used to do on your own.
Yeah, I used to do it on my own.
Yeah.
But then I got to a point where I'm like, okay, people want more out of me, and people really enjoy the stuff that I'm posting, and get a lot from it, and it does selfishly help my brand too, and help us raise money and do our projects and get attention with what we're doing. I'm like, this is something that we have to get someone full time to be able to film, edit, get stuff out there, and just pump stuff out. So.
And Ryder, you might not need this compliment, as we just talked about compliments, but you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
He just brushed that off like this. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he's like, I don't need that compliment.
He said thank you.
I don't need it. Like,
It's not about being rude. You don't need to be rude to people. I think sometimes
it's not like.
I think sometimes people think I'm being rude because I almost just don't even want to talk about it when they try to congratulate. I'm like just okay, but it's not being rude. It's just that's the mentality that it takes to.
Well, I think you have to have the knowing. You have to be all knowing within your own self of knowing what you are and are not capable of. And I think the person I was a year and a half ago and who I am now is just so different because I have a more of a limitless mindset. It's not, I'm not smart enough to do this, I'm not focused enough to do this, I'm not disciplined enough to do this. It's like, okay, so I could do that, what's it going to take?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, it's just having that open mindset instead of such a closed one. The self-review, I guess. I don't know what that is, but this has been really good and really helpful. Do you think, we've had a lot of really great takeaways, but in overcoming naysayers and doubters, I think it's interesting. So I think from a very young age, it was instilled in you to believe in yourself. And more or less, like if a parent is listening, I think that's super important for them to hear, is to believe in your children, to believe in the kids around you, the people in your life, believe in your husband, believe in your wife. Like, speaking that life into the people in your circle is going to do such wonders to their self-esteem and confidence. And look at what it created in you. I mean, this stuff literally does bounce off.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. You're like, naysayer, whatever. I mean, that they can watch me be successful in a few years. That'll be fun for them.
Yeah, and I still talk. I'll still talk to a naysayer. I have nothing. It's like I don't. It's like not registered. So it's like almost like 90% of the time, it's like not even registered. Where I'll just be like, hey man, what's up? Like, what's going on? I just don't even register. And yes, there's some other percentages of the time it's like, okay, I'm just not even going to go over to that person because I heard what they said. I don't need it. And it didn't affect me personally, but I don't need to go talk to that person now because of it. But most of the time, it's a situation where it's like, you still can talk to that person. You just gotta completely shut it off when they start talking about whatever, certain things.
What the next book is you're writing?
What's that?
You just start thinking about the next book to write.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard doing it by myself. I'll probably sign with somebody, try to sign with somebody or something. Because we're shipping them all, and I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I'm sure you're learning a lot in the process either way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. This was wonderful, and I hope that people got a lot out of it. And again, if you want to contact Justin, at Justin Spalding on Instagram or www.justinspaldingwithu.com. And thank you so much, Justin. I appreciate your time, your wisdom, and all your knowledge.
You bet. Thanks, Troy.
Yeah, take care.
See you guys, and thanks for listening.
Wonderful. That was great.
Cool.
I don't know if you follow Kirsten Spread, if you've seen what I do, but it's just like a...
I follow it. I follow it, but I hardly consume anything on there, on Instagram.
Well, you won't see it now, anyways, but it's gone.
What, you deleted it?
But the stuff promoting.
Oh.
And the story's gone. Do you find, maybe this is a writer question, maybe this is a you question, but like, what is the best way to promote this?
Every way that you can.
Is she talking her podcast?
Yeah, the podcast.
You said you don't use TikTok, but I'm a big lover of TikTok. I think it's the best opportunity. But
Even for
I agree.
podcasts?
Yeah, because you can put your link in there, and there's you get more free exposure there than, I mean, we have a video. Like, I get way more. I'm way more seen on TikTok than even Instagram right now, and I have maybe 12,000 followers or something. But
60,000, 13,000.
I've got videos with 60,000 views, 13,000, 30,000,
22,000,
Really?
40,000, and these are all just in a couple weeks.
Interesting, so maybe I do start recording.
everywhere, Charlie. Spotify,
I'm on
YouTube.
Spotify now. I didn't know that I wasn't.
YouTube.
This lady set up all my stuff for me, and then I never used Spotify, and my friend was like, how come you don't have your podcast in Spotify? And I was like, I don't know. I thought I probably did. I told her to put it everywhere, but
YouTube.
yeah, I am not on YouTube. I need to hire someone like this too, but like right now I'm not making an income from it, and I haven't done any research on how to get sponsors, but like, and maybe you would know this as well, like currently I'm getting between 200 and 300 downloads an episode, some that are like 500 downloads. Is that something you can monetize at this point, if you know offhand?
I don't know. I'm sure somewhere you can probably start making smaller money, but
I thought Spotify pays you, like on plays.
you need to Google this,
Yeah.
Charlie.
I don't know anything about
Because I'm
that.
not really in the podcast game.
What?
I'm not really in the podcast game, but the biggest thing more than anything is just getting it everywhere. So then you see, who cares if you only get 10 views on YouTube, and but
Right.
if you have 8 platforms and they're all getting, odds are it's not the same person seeing it multiple times on every single different platform. So you just need to be able to distribute it as wide as you can. And then you need to find, it's like what I do on Grant Cardone's posts and like 4 or 5 other accounts, is I'll go on when they do post, I do consume their content for one reason. It's because I'll go on and I'll make a smart type comment on what they said and go and like other comments. If people ask Grant questions that Grant doesn't answer because he doesn't have enough time or something, I'll go down, I'll answer the question for him. I get a lot of followers that way.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So like, and you just have to find someone that's kind of like in your same niche that has like 50,000 to
Right.
50,000 to like 50,000 plus followers. And if you can find like 5 to 10 accounts and do that, like every time they post, and then you have enough content that's engaging, because they'll click on your page and come to your page.
Interesting. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. So, and also don't let me forget to tell you about Sam Ovens. I think it's worth looking into. So, I mean, ultimately, I'd like to grow my podcast as large as possible. I would enjoy it being my full-time source of income, or at least one of them. And at this point, it's obviously not even close. But so I don't know if that means creating a huge social media following so that I can, if that more is in lines of a blog. But
You just need good stuff first, then you need to distribute it first. That's what you have to, first story has to be about.
and that's what my main focus has been this year, is just creating content and getting used to the process of creating content. And my focus has not been like on growth. It's just been literally creating content. So,
And don't worry about the video. Who cares if one day if you have makeup on, great, and the next day you don't? Because then people when Ryder, we posted something the other day. Ryder's like, I don't know if we should post this because the freaking microphone was going the whole time. I'm like, dude, we're posting it. We're putting it on YouTube. We're putting the whole thing. I don't care. I'm like, and then we'll just test different things. And if it's not perfect, like, I don't want it to consistently not be like good stuff, like look good. But I'm like, I would rather have. It's more important that I hit 3 or 4 a day of like good quality between the copy that we're writing and overall content than I don't care if like there's something wrong with the audio or the light or so like you shouldn't. Who cares if you don't have makeup on for freaking
yeah.
Yeah,
Touche. I mean, there's a lot of things, like, my whole point behind Fruitlessly Inspired is because, like, I feel like there's so many people that get stuck in their own way, and they get trapped in their own victim mindset or their own story, thinking that they're.
So then be fearlessly inspired and post a video on YouTube.
What's that?
So then be fearlessly inspired and post a video on YouTube.
Oh, you want me to be not afraid of it?
I just said be fearlessly inspired. Can't find my. I'm trying to find my
A
picture. to
million
send you.
ideas in my head pop up of like creative ways to advertise their podcast on TikTok. Or like almost like a sappy kind of story, but like not sappy, but like I don't even know. A lot of ideas.
It's just a matter of getting it together, just getting content together and pushing it out, and then being able to engage and. All right, I'm sending you one picture. What I only really use one picture. I think I have another headshot picture that Jamie wanted me to start using somewhere, but I don't know where it is right now.
Okay. I mean, don't you have any from your wedding?
Well, yeah. Well, I sent you one for now. I guess I don't know what I'm gonna. What do you want? Like a headshot, or what do you? Because I just sent you a headshot.
Yeah, that's fine.
So then, what else do you want?
You could have like one with your whole family, since you talked a lot about the people in your life. And
All right.
let's see, you send me one where?
I just emailed it to you, I think.
Okay. So you guys didn't have to do any like company reductions, right?
No. That's
you
what I'm
should
saying.
get-
I wasn't gonna sit in my freaking COVID bunker and let my thing die.
Yeah, no, for sure not. You could do one from your wedding. Let's see.
All right, I'll try to find one from the wedding to send you then.
Your cover photo? I feel like I took that photo. Maybe not.
I don't know if my cover photo has Jamie in it or not.
No, and on Facebook, neither do any of your top ones. Like, they're just ones that you can pin, basically. I mean, I'm in 2 of them. No big deal.
I can't find the. Freaking A. Oh, here. I'll find one quick.
You can do this cute one.
Can't see.
It's at the Derby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you want to use that one.
Okay, I'll do that. Did Sarah pick a date yet? I'm assuming the answer is no if I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay, I think that's good. Honestly, it's like,
All right. Anything else you need?
no, if you guys come up with some ideas though. I just don't even know where to start. That's my problem. I don't know. Blah. You're good at just doing stuff, and I get so afraid of like where to start.
Fearlessly inspired.
Yeah, I know. But fiercely inspired is like different than building an online social media platform.
No, you just need to be inspired and fearlessly.
Yeah, true. Very true. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I
You
appreciate
bet.
it.
Thank you for having us. We'll be in touch. Talk to you. Let me know when you start getting this stuff, and yeah, or when will you post this?
Thursday.
All right, cool.
Okay.
All right, where do you get most of your downloads from?
I don't know. It's a good question. I just look
Well,
at
how do you
the
know-
downloads.
So, where are you seeing that stat? Is it just
What
on?
did you say?
Where are you seeing that stat? Just from one website, or
From the platform that I use to host it.
what platform?
Blueberry, like the Blueberry.
And then that's on your website, or you have a site there?
So it's a podcasting host. I mean, that's just what they do.
Gotcha. Okay.
BLUBRRY.
So then, where do people go to listen to it? Then do they go to Burberry or whatever.com, or they go to.
Or like Apple or
Gotcha.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Oh, so you are on
Podcasts, whoever
Spotify.
listens to it. What's that?
So you are on Spotify then.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. All right. Cool. I gotta roll because I got some other stuff I gotta take care of.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See ya.